All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Brandy Kennedy, and I serve as the Director of Secondary and Post-Secondary Programs with Shift Ed. Today, we are here to talk about the scholarship model for the 2023-2024 school year for Shift Ed. So again, welcome, and I want to, you all aren't able to unmute yourselves at the moment, but that's just for security reasons. Just know that you will have an opportunity to put some questions in the chat. So we ask that you save them or jot them down during that time. So a quick overview of what we'll walk through today. So number one, I want to talk about a few exciting updates that I'm sure many of you all have heard or excited to hear. We'll talk a little bit about some vocabulary that I'll be using throughout the presentation just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Then we'll hop into our actual scholarship model. We'll talk a little bit about the application process and how do you make sure that you've done everything you need, and even our award process and our timeline for determining eligibility. Then we'll provide a little bit of opportunity for some Q&A depending upon our time. So again, I want to hop right in and make sure that we get as much information covered as possible today. So again, we are Shift Ed, but I want to really acknowledge just a few updates. In July, Shift Ed announced that Sayas Guilford had transitioned our name to Shift Ed. So again, we have changed our name, but we just want to really emphasize that we are boldly accelerating student potential. And today, some of the changes that you will see that we have made are in an effort to not only shift the impact we have in the community and have a larger impact for students, but it's also to align with more equity and to help the students across our county who need it most. So Say Yes Guilford has transitioned. I know that's been a big question that's been brought up. We'll talk a little bit about how that has changed the scholarship model, but these are exciting new changes. We did not go away. Instead, we have revamped and just worked to better serve Guilford County. So we are excited to now be Shift Ed. So before we hop in, I want to go through and talk a little bit about some terms that I'll be using throughout just to ensure that you all understand them. So number one, just these are some words that are often used when it comes to financial aid and the cost of college or college expenses. So number one, I'm sure as you all have began to research institutions and looked at the price, you've ran across some of these terms, but first we have cost of attendance. So your cost of attendance is the full estimated amount to fully attend the institution. And this would combine of tuition, fees, and room and board, and also things such as books. So this is the total cost that it would take. This is generally an estimate. Currently, as you're looking at different websites, you might Google like, what is your cost of attendance? You may see an estimate for the next year because those tuition costs have not been voted upon yet. So when you see the word cost of attendance or see those numbers, that includes everything. So I really want to emphasize that. So moving on to tuition. When you think about tuition are the charges solely for the academic setting. So solely for the academics that you'll be receiving. It is separate from fees that all students pay to be a part of like student activity fees and just to be a part of the university. So tuition and fees are separate. So fees are other costs that the institution may charge for being a student there. That may be fees, just general fees that all students are charged just for upkeep for the institution. Next, we have room and board. So room and board is generally staying on campus or staying in housing through the university, and board is generally thinking about food on campus. So that might look a variety of different ways, and those costs may vary depending upon which dorm you stay in or even which meal plan. The only thing that are generally fixed is the cost of tuition and the cost of fees. So next we have a few terms that we'll be using just to describe some of the awards that we will be granting. So number one, you have a grant. And if you had the opportunity to tune into our last webinar, we did really deep into this, Cash for College. But a grant is money that you are provided by institution or organization that does not have to be paid back. Generally, a grant is based on financial need. Next, you have a scholarship. So a scholarship also does not have to be paid back. Many people often use these terms interchangeably, but they aren't the same thing. But scholarships also do not have to be paid back. So those are a few of the words I'll be using today. And I hope that just did a little bit of level setting so that we can ensure everyone is on the same page. So hopping right into thinking about the Shift Ed scholarship model, I want to talk about our eligibility criteria. So these are a few things that students must do in order to even be considered for an award. So these are just a few of the things. Number one, the student must graduate from a Guilford County high school. So that is one of the 27 public Guilford County schools. If you have any questions specifically about if your school is one of them, you may email us at scholarship@shifted.org, and that'll be placed into the chat in just a second. But you must be a graduate and have attended a public Guilford County school from 9th through 12th grade. I will repeat, across the board, whether I am talking about a public institution or a private institution, one of the criteria that you will see that has changed is that students must be enrolled since 9th grade. In the past, there have been a variety of various grade levels that, different incomes had to fall within, but just to make it easy across the board, if you have been in Guilford County schools since 9th grade through 12th grade, then you are eligible to apply. Next, in order to be considered for a Shift Ed scholarship, you must also complete the FAFSA. So the FAFSA opened on October 1st. I'll dig into that a little bit later, but you must complete the free application for federal student aid. Additionally, you must complete our application. So of course, we can't give you any money if you don't apply. You must complete our application. So I'm talking to you seniors. Seniors, you must complete our application by July 1st. So we gave you plenty of time, even once school is over, to complete that application. We'll talk a little bit later about what a complete application entails. Next, in order to be considered when you go off to school in the fall, whether that be a 2-year college, a 4-year college, and we'll talk a little bit later about our partnerships, you must be full-time in order to be considered for a Shift Ed award. Additionally, as you continue on, you must maintain a 2.0 GPA in order to be considered for a Shift Ed scholarship. So hopping right in, on top of those eligibility criteria, depending upon which type of institution you plan to enroll in, we'll talk a little bit about how your scholarship determination is figured out. So here you will see that this is our North Carolina public school model. When I talk about our public schools in North Carolina, I want to emphasize that I am talking about all of our 2-year community college, including Guilford Technical Community College, but also all the community colleges across the state of North Carolina. I'm also talking about the 16 UNC system schools. So that is what is included up under our North Carolina public model. So public colleges in the state of North Carolina. So you will see here a few changes that have occurred. So as I mentioned, with our name change also came a few changes to our scholarship model. One of our largest changes that you will see is that when you complete the FAFSA application, because again, you do have to complete the FAFSA in order to be considered, if your family income is $40,000 and below, as determined by the FAFSA, and you receive the maximum Pell Grant, then you automatically receive a $1,250 grant. So I repeat, if you complete the FAFSA, and when you complete that FAFSA application, you are eligible for the maximum Pell Grant. And the Pell Grant is the grant that you are allotted from the federal government when you complete the FAFSA. So based on your need, if the government decides that, based on your family income, you fall into this category, then you automatically receive our $1,250 grant. If you fully complete your application, you fully indicate your enrollment, and you have done your FAFSA and you've been enrolled since 9th grade. So as you can see, as the income category goes up, We continue to support the cost of tuition after your Pell State and institutional aid. And I know that can be a little bit confusing. Don't worry, you're going to walk through some examples together. But essentially, after you receive your financial aid package and you figure out how much money you get from the FAFSA, how much money you get from the state of North Carolina, and how much money you get from the school, based on that balance, if there is one, you see that based on your income, you are eligible for tuition support. You will see here on our public model another change that in the past, that income category cap was $100,000. You will see here that we have extended that income category cap to $150,000. So if your family income is $150,000 or below, we strongly encourage you to fill out the Shift Ed application, regardless if you think you're going to go to a public school or even when I talk about our private school. But you can see here based on this chart, what you're eligible up to for your tuition support. So moving on to our private school model, this is focused on students who will attend one of our partner NC private institutions. Our partner institutions are a few of the private colleges here in the state of North Carolina, and we are always looking to expand those partnerships, not only within our state, but just across our country as we grow. And so with that being said, you can always check out our website if you have any question about who our current specific partners are. Up under our frequently asked questions, we'll place that in the chat. You'll see a question about who our private partners are. And so that can, if you look on the site, we ask you to go there because again, we are continuously updating partners day by day. All right, so very similar to our public school model for those institutions that I just mentioned, this is our private school model. So if you are a senior and you are thinking about going to one of our private partner institutions, then you too would fall up under that same other eligibility criteria of having to complete the FAFSA, needing to be enrolled since 9th grade, being full-time once you do enroll in college. And based on your income, as you can see on the left-hand side, if your family income is $75,000 and below, your full cost of tuition is paid by our partner institution. And I really emphasize here, again, we talked a little bit earlier about the difference between tuition and fees and cost of attendance, but I really want to emphasize that your tuition is covered by the institution. As you look at the income categories over $75,000, you'll see that students are eligible for tuition support up to $3,000 and tearing down as the income categories go up. Also, you'll see that it is capped at $150,000. So that is the same for our public and private school model. We do want to emphasize again that this is your tuition balance. So this is what balance you may have towards the cost of tuition after your Pell State and institutional aid. And again, we'll be doing an example in just a few minutes to help sort of help you visualize that. So the application process. I know many of you all right now, if you're a senior or have a senior, you're going through the college application process right now, and that's completely fine. Our scholarship application opened a few days ago on December 1st. So some of you all may have already began your application. But in order to complete that, you also will visit shifted.org/frequently asked questions, and we'll place that in the chat. And you'll see a link to click there and register. Again, registration is for GCS seniors. And if we have any parents of students who attend early middle colleges or early graduates, then shoot us a message if you're having trouble registering. But across the board, if you are going to be in the class of 2023 and you are graduating from a Guilford County school, public high school, then you are eligible to apply. So the application is really short. Again, this scholarship is not based on any merit, so any grades or anything. Is really based on your financial need. And so it's a very short 5-minute application. We're just going to be asking you your name, your email address. Please make sure you're using an email address that you will have continued access to, because This is a portal that you're going to want to check each semester to see what you're eligible for and to see if you've been awarded a scholarship. And you will also register using your GCSID. So as I mentioned, our scholarship application has opened as of December 1st, and it will remain open until July 1st. So you're probably thinking, well, by July, I'll know where I'm going. That is great. We want to ensure that by that July 1st date, you go in and indicate what school you'll be going to. I know many of you right now are awaiting college decisions and haven't quite narrowed down exactly where you want to be going, and that's completely fine. Just really making sure that you go back into that portal by July 1st and indicate where you'll be going to school, or we will not have the ability to determine your eligibility because we won't know which type of school to reach out to. We won't know what school to reach out to. So it's very important that you complete that application process thoroughly. And also that you don't forget, if you have, I know many seniors go ahead and knock it out the way, but then they forget to go back in and let us know where they're going to school. Without that step, your application is incomplete. So again, applications open December 1st. If you have any specific questions, you can email us at scholarship@shifted.org. Here's a direct QR code to the application, but we also put the link in the chat for you to be able to just click there. So I'll leave it here for just a second to allow you all to scan that QR code if you want to go ahead and knock it out while we're on the phone. All right, so as I mentioned, one of the requirements in order to be considered for this scholarship is that students must complete the FAFSA. So the FAFSA is the way in which we determine your income category. We communicate directly with the school that you indicate in your portal to determine what your family income was on the FAFSA. Of course, you could tell us and say, hey, my family income was this. However, we are going to communicate directly with the school to verify that information. You don't have to worry about letting us know how that looked. We will get that information from the school. So as you're completing your FAFSA, which opened on October 1st, so I hope that you've completed that as soon as you can. It's not too late to complete it if you haven't, but when you complete that FAFSA, you're gonna complete the 23-24 FAFSA because your student will be attending college in that school year. You're gonna be using your tax information from 2021 to complete that. So if you need some assistance completing that, make sure you check out our website also for opportunity to get some one-on-one help with that, and also for some previous webinars that walk through the process. And I just really want to break down that the FAFSA does more than take into account just your income. It's going to also ask you some additional questions, such as how many other students that people within your household that may be in college. And it's also going to ask you some additional questions that may help impact how much aid you'll need. So don't think there's a large misconception that is solely based off income, and it does consider a few other factors. So make sure, if you have not already, that you complete that application, not only just for the Shift Ed scholarship, but just to be considered for scholarships and need-based aid at your institution. You have to take that step to fill out the FAFSA. So as I talked about the application process, I really want to emphasize that a full application must have where you are going to be going to school. It is okay if you don't know that now, but by July 1st, 2023, so by then you all, our seniors will have walked across the stage and have graduated. We need you all to log into your student portal and make sure that you indicate your enrollment. You all will see this infographic later in the future, but this is how you indicate that enrollment. Let's say you've already been accepted into your school and you know exactly where you're going. You could go ahead and follow these steps on your screen today to go ahead and lock in your enrollment. In order to do this, you will need your college ID that for the institution that you plan on attending. So just make sure you keep this step in mind. Again, this will be a little bit later down the road for many of you all as you await your college decisions, but just really emphasizing that your application is not complete until you indicate your enrollment. So I talked a little bit just about when our application is open. I want to walk through with you all a little bit about how and when we determine eligibility and a timeline for understanding that process before we walk into a few examples. So of course, right now we're in the phase where we are here. Seniors are applying. So beginning December 1st up until July 1st, seniors can go on to our site and go ahead and complete the shift ed application. In the meantime, make sure that you also submit your FAFSA by June 1st. Again, reminding you that by July 1st and back in your student portal, you will need to indicate what college you're going to be going to. This is a crucial step because without this step, we don't know what school to reach out to for you. So if I didn't indicate that I was going to UNC Greensboro, then Shift Ed would not know if they needed to reach out to UNC Greensboro for my information or Guilford Technical Community College. They would have no idea who to reach out to. So that is a crucial step. Without completing that step, again, your application is incomplete and you cannot be considered for that semester if you don't indicate your enrollment by July 1st. Next, I want to emphasize that some schools may require you to submit what's called a third-party authorization form. This is for their legal purposes, just giving them permission to share your information with us. As I mentioned, we are an outside entity and we will be working directly with the school to gather your information. And so this is just essentially a form of you saying, hi, I, Brandy Kennedy, give Shift Ed permission to have access to my financial aid data. Without completing this form, the school cannot legally share information with us. So again, if you don't complete this form and we are unable to gather your information, then you have not fully completed the steps that you have needed to be considered for eligibility. So again, as you make your final decision, feel free to email us and say, hey, do you know if my school requires a form? Generally speaking, most public institutions require a form, and I can direct you to the site where they have those forms. But if y'all have any specific questions, again, you can reach out to us via email or check with that school's financial aid office. I do want to emphasize that you will submit that form to the college or university's financial aid office. It will not need to be submitted to us. The form is not for us. Instead, it is for them to have permission to share your information. So let's fast forward. You have graduated your senior year. You did everything you needed to do by applying and submitting your FAFSA and indicating where you'll be going to school. And you even did your third-party form. And so now the time has come for me to go to school, and it's August. And I am wondering, where is my Shift Ed award? How do I know if I'm eligible? Well, number one, you can continue to check your portal for your scholarship notification about if you've been approved for a Shift Ed award. All of our payments for the fall semester will be made by October 15th. And I know that sounds late. We'll talk a little bit why after I finish. And March 15th for the spring semester. You may say, well, how do I know how much I'm going to be anticipating? We're going to walk through an example in just a few slides. We're going to walk through 4 examples actually. So, but understanding that the reason why we make our payments this late is because we have to ensure that students are actually enrolled. So many schools have a add drop period where students are able to add or drop courses. So in order to ensure that we are accurately sending awards to students who are enrolled full time, institutions do not send us the data until after that add drop period. That add drop period is generally towards the beginning of September, which then allows us to figure out the eligibility for students over the course of a few weeks. So this is the schedule for timeline, and that is the reasoning why. So we are going to walk through a few examples of how do you know if you can be anticipating an award. We do work with all of our institutions, and generally speaking, they will not place a hold on your account if they know that you are anticipating a Shift Ed award, especially with our close-knit relationship with our institutions. They understand that you all are anticipating an award, and so they won't penalize you for that. So again, how do I determine what I may be eligible for? I do want to say you all might want to pull out your calculators on your phones or little notepad if you like. Looks like we'll be in math class a little bit tonight, but we're going to walk through some calculation examples because while we directly communicate with the institution to determine your eligibility, you can also use your financial aid packages to help determine what you may be eligible for on your Shift Ed Award. And so we're going to walk through two public school examples, and we're going to walk through two private school examples. So here we have Mary, who is a senior right now, and she's been enrolled in Guilford County Schools since the 6th grade. She's been accepted into Guilford Technical Community College. She did her FAFSA, and when she completed her FAFSA, she received the maximum Pell Grant that she was eligible for. So based on the criteria that I mentioned below, so this student falls into the category where her family income was $40,000 and below, and she received the maximum full Pell Grant. She was enrolled well before 9th grade. She's been enrolled since 6th grade. So this student is eligible for our acceleration grant of $1,250 for the school year, but we break that down into two semester payments. So $625 per semester or $1,250 for the entire school year. So this is one of our students who will receive our acceleration grant, attending a public college. So this is our next example. We have Joe. Joe's been in Guilford County Schools since kindergarten, so he definitely meets the criteria in terms of being enrolled since 9th grade. Joe's been accepted to UNC Charlotte and is interested in pursuing engineering. And Joe did everything he needed to do by completing his FAFSA. Joe's family income is $60,000. So now we're going to take a look at Joe's financial aid package. So Joe was accepted into UNC Charlotte. So we're happy for Joe. Shout out to Joe for being accepted into UNC Charlotte. And the cost of attendance when he looked at it, it was $22,000. I will state that these are not exact costs. These are estimates. We're just using these for examples. The cost of tuition that Joe determined for next year is going to be $6,500. So you'll just keep that information in mind. So if you take a look on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see Joe's financial aid package. When Joe completed the FAFSA, he got a Pell Grant of $2,000. He got a 49er, so he got a UNC Charlotte scholarship of $500. He also got a $1,000 need-based grant from the state of North Carolina. And he also was offered $5,000 in federal loans. So taking a look at Joe's financial aid package, the way in which we would determine how much Joe will be eligible for Shift Ed is that we're going to add up all of his Pell, state, and institutional aid. So here you see I've done that for you. So if you add up his Pell Grant, his 49er award, which is his aid from his institution, and his $1,000 from the state, you'll see that Joe's aid is $3,500. You may be saying, but wait, what about the $5,000? I really want to emphasize that Shift Ed does not take into account loans nor outside scholarships. So if your student decides that they need loans to help bridge the gap in their college education, Shift Ed does not count that into consideration, nor do we count any scholarships from outside organizations. So again, that's why you do not see that $5,000 included in the aid that we determine. So again, the way in which we determine what is the balance of Joe's tuition alone. Again, remember the cost of attendance is $22,000, but we are looking just at the cost of attendance. So the cost of attendance is $6,500. And Joe is given $3,500 in aid. This meant that Joe had a tuition balance of $3,000 for the year. So going back to our chart that I showed you at the beginning, remember Joe's family income is $60,000. So using his income on the chart, And you can see that he is eligible up to 75% of his tuition balance, not to exceed an amount of $3,375. So again, I told you we were going to go to math class a little bit. So in order to do that, you are going to take 75% of 3,000. So for my math folks, you would do 0.75 times 3,000, and you will see that Joe is eligible for a shift ed tuition scholarship for $2,250 for the year, or $1,125 when you break that up per semester. So you can see here what Joe was eligible for based off our criteria. So now we're going to go to a few private school examples. So next we have Ashley. Ashley has been enrolled in Guilford County Schools since the 5th grade. So she meets the criteria of being enrolled by 9th grade. And she has been accepted into Greensboro College. She's excited to stay close to home. She completed the FAFSA and her family income was $50,000. And so if we take a look at our private school model of Greensboro College is proudly one of our private partners, we can see that her family income falls into the $40,000 to $75,000 range. So that means that when Ashley receives her financial aid package, her tuition is fully covered by Greensboro College. I really want to emphasize that it is her cost of tuition. And so for this, Shift Ed will not actually pay anything. Instead, because of our partnership and our strong relationship with our private institution, they will ensure that when you get your financial aid package, it fully covers the cost of tuition for the year. Again, there are processes sometimes. Of course, you have to complete an application to be accepted into that school as well, but that is our partnership with those schools. So we're gonna move on to our last private example. We have Walter. Walter has been enrolled in Guilford County Schools since the 3rd grade and has decided that he's going to attend Guilford College. Walter also completed the FAFSA and had a family income of $100,000. And so we're going to take a look at the financial aid package for Walter. So the cost of tuition at Guilford College is $40,000. So let's take a look at his financial aid package. When he completed the FAFSA application, he got a Pell Grant of $2,000. He also got the Quaker Scholarship at Guilford College for $20,000. Additionally, he also got the Leadership Scholarship for his leadership service in high school and was awarded $8,000. Walter has done a lot of scholarships, and he also was awarded an outside scholarship from the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation in the amount of $5,000. To help cover the cost, he was also offered a federal loan in the amount of $5,000. So if we take a look at Walter's financial aid package and add up his Pell State and institutional aid, we see that his Pell Grant was $2,000. He did not really get any state aid. Instead, he got more institutional aid. So he received $28,000 in institutional aid. If you combine that amount, you'll see that his aid was $30,000. And again, you may say, well, what about the Jack Kent Cooke Scholarship? And what about the federal loan? As I mentioned before, Shift Ed does not take into account outside scholarships nor loans when considering our eligibility criteria. So if we take a look at this, the cost of tuition at Guilford College is $40,000, and Walter's Pell and institutional aid equals $30,000. This means that Walter still has a tuition balance of $10,000. And so again, we're going to reference our chart. Going back here, Walter's family income is $100,000. And so based on this chart, Walter is eligible for a tuition award of up to $3,000. So here we saw that Walter, although Walter had a tuition balance of $10,000, based on the criteria on this chart, his award cannot exceed $3,000. So Walter was awarded the Shift Ed Tuition Award, which is $3,000 for the year or $1,500 for the semester. So those were 4 examples, 2 public school examples and 2 private examples to help show you how you can use your financial aid package to help determine how much you may be eligible for, depending upon what type of school you're going to, but also just how it may look different if you are going to attend one of our private school models and your family income is $75,000 and below. So keep in mind, I know I've thrown a lot at you and we're still gonna open it up to leave at least 10 or 15 minutes for Q&A, but keep in mind that you must complete the FAFSA each year. So each year your financial aid changes. And so in order to be considered for the Shift Ed Award, you must complete that FAFSA each year. Each year and each semester, we will communicate with the institution that you indicate in your portal to determine your information. If you have successfully indicated it in your portal and also completed a third-party authorization form, then we will successfully gather your information and based on our criteria, determine if you are eligible. Also understand that your eligibility may change year by year because your financial aid package looks different each year, as does your income. I want to re-emphasize that as we do our calculations, we do not consider loans nor outside scholarships into our calculations. We encourage all students to apply, whether you feel as if you'll qualify or not. And regardless of if you do qualify for our actual scholarship, understanding that you can also benefit from our Shift Ed resources, whether that be our SAT, ACT prep, our free webinars to help you navigate the college application and college transition process. So don't forget that. Also, you have to fully complete your application by July 1st. And a full application, again, mentions the enrollment and indicates the enrollment of where you will be attending school next year. Remember that your school may require a third-party authorization form to be completed and returned to them in order to legally share your information. Failure to complete that process could result in non-eligibility as a result of not being able to gather your data. I do want to emphasize, many of you are probably wondering, well, how do you know if I've really been enrolled in Guilford County School, and how will you know how my financial aid package looks? Don't worry, you don't have to send us like record of your GCS enrollment. We work directly with the school district to gather all of your matriculation data for all of the years. We work with them internally to gather that information. Also, we work directly with the school that you indicate in your portal to determine your income on the FAFSA and to determine how your financial aid package looks. You don't have to send us your financial aid package or anything. We will get that information directly from the school. And just keep in mind that we begin getting that information after the add drop period has passed, and we do make our fall payments by October 15th. As we wrap up, I want to emphasize just staying connected, not only on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of our social media platforms, not only for our scholarship opportunities, but also to hear about other scholarship opportunity, other exciting opportunities for you to engage in. As I mentioned, we have webinars, we have test prep, we have exciting opportunities through our SEL Scholars programs for 9th grade students. The opportunities are limitless. I know that you all may have many individual questions specific to your circumstances, and we ask that as we transition to Q&A, that if you have any very particular questions, that you shoot us an email at scholarship@shifted.org, and we'll be happy to either connect with you via phone, or you can set up a 15-minute appointment to chat with myself or a team member to walk you through navigating whatever it is that you need help with. So I hope that the examples that we've talked about today and I've been able to thoroughly explain everything for you. We are excited about the changes that we have made to our scholarship model to better serve our community. And we ask that you stay connected and please ensure that you complete your application. And if you do it early, don't forget to go back in and indicate what school you're going to be going to. We're going to transition for the next 10 to 15 minutes to Q&A. So if you give me an opportunity, just a second, I will try to access the chat. Let's see. All right, let me see. Now you should be able to place your questions in the chat. And we'll try to get to as many of them as possible. Please let me know if you're unable to. All right, so I'm not sure if anyone doesn't have any question. Okay. It is working. All right. Is there a list of our private institution partners? Yes, we do have a list of our private institution partners, and it is available at shifted.org/frequently asked questions. You'll see a questionnaire specifically about our NC private partners. I would continue to check that really on a weekly basis because, as I mentioned, we are continuing to grow our partners, but you can check there, and I'll try to type that in the chat for you. You all have any other questions this evening? I know many of you all have not received your financial aid package yet, so it's hard to arbitrarily know how you may qualify. But do you have any clarification questions that you need help on? Or are you all feeling confident? If you're feeling good, give me a thumbs up in the chat or using your reactions just to let me know. Okay, great. Well, I'll linger here for just a few more minutes, 1 or 2 more minutes. Again, make sure you check out our website if you still have a few lingering questions or need some more assistance understanding or walking through this model. Feel free to snag an appointment at shifted.org/opportunities. I'm going to place that, and we have opportunities to connect with one of our staff for 15 minutes just to help you better understand any questions that you may have. So if you all don't have any other questions, thank you all again for joining our Shift Desk Scholarship Information Session. Again, this will be available for replay on our YouTube channel within the next 24 to 48 hours. So thank you all for taking the time to tune in. Have a great evening.